the assessment tag, and that is a one-time designation, and it is required in the system in order for the teachers to access their professional development. If you have teachers that you've already assigned that tag to, they should still have that same information. If there are some changes, that would need to be refreshed, or if they're brand new. But it's important that you assign that tag to the teachers in the system in order for them to be able to access the professional development. The KRA certification training is a requirement for licensed school employees for the fall 2026 KRA. Only kindergarten teachers that have not been trained in the KRA need to complete this initial training. A user account is required. It's necessary to have a user account in the KReady system and the assessment tag in order to access the training. The window has opened for the fall. Access to the system is now available. The window will close for submission of the students' information by the teachers. That will end on November the 1st at 11:59. And the data cleanup window will close for data managers on November 10th at 11:59 p.m. DCY is there for you with regards to any kind of policy questions or guideline information. And we encourage you to reach out to them with any kinds of policy questions that you might have. Any kinds of questions specific to technical support, we want you to reach out to the help desk. So if we're talking about gaining access, or if you're having trouble uploading, or those kinds of things, you want to make sure you reach out to the help desk.
So here at DCY, we have some KRA policies that are being updated for the 26-27 school year. So I've had lots of questions come in around the KRA and whether or not it's still required to be administered. It is. So part of the Ohio Revised Code does state that the KRA is to be administered in public kindergarten programs. So please make sure that you are following that rule. The thing that has changed is the KRA is no longer on the approved list for the K3 reading diagnostic assessments. So this is the change that's happened within the last few months. If you want to, when you download the presentation today, you can actually click on that link and it'll take you to the third grade reading guarantee page on the DEW website. You can find out more information there about what is on the approved list for diagnostic assessments, but the KRA is not this year. It's still required, but not on the diagnostic assessment list. Also, for those of you who have previously completed the KRA training, you can do a refresher course that will be coming up here just in a little bit. It'll be an asynchronous course available in the KReady system. We will get confirmation and send out some communications if needed about when that will be uploaded. But it should be here within the next week or so if it's not been posted as of today. Lastly, we highly, highly recommend, we are going to be providing a live refresher training in August. So on August 13th, Thursday, August 13th from 1 to 2:30 p.m., you can actually attend the live refresher training. We will go through the KReady portal, go through areas where you can find some of those additional supports. Some years we have lots of questions around, especially providing supports for children with disabilities. So please make sure if you are attending that live refresher training, and you can go to the KRA live refresher training link connected in this PowerPoint to register. When you do register, you will be required to enter your educator state ID. In the Tuesday Times and also in the Ed Connect newsletter, we did put some announcements there. So if you are looking for more information on that, you can also email the KRA inbox and we can provide you some additional guidance through that.
You're responsible for creating teacher accounts. You're responsible for creating the administrator accounts. You are the person that will be adding the student and enrollment data into the system. It's your responsibility and role to monitor and update any data or changes along the way, whether that be changes in teacher names, students leaving or coming to the system. It's your responsibility to keep the system updated. And then again, to address any kind of transfers and to also access the reports in the system as we get towards the end of the window. And along the way, I really want to stress that it's important that as the data manager, you're going into the KReady system and clicking on and downloading reports as we go along the way. It's critical that you do that and not wait necessarily until the very end of the window. You must be listed as the assessment data manager, preschool and kindergarten for your organization in the OEDS system, in the Ohio Education Directory system. So it's important that you have that classification in the system. So someone in your organization or your district has to have you listed in OEDS in that way. And then once that happens, you can gain access to the KReady system. You can reach out to the help desk for technical support there. If you currently don't have access to the KReady system, we can help you with that. There have been a few questions as to whether or not you can have multiple data managers with access to the KReady. The answer to that is yes. But in doing so, we want to make sure that there's strong communication that's happening between and amongst any data managers in your location. There are 3 methods for loading data into the system. Certainly you can do that manually, and the data is simply uploaded based on an individual as opposed to larger groups. We use the bulk loader for loading larger numbers of students and teachers into the system. And then there's also an automated process through a secure file transfer protocol. What we can do is get your larger district set up with that. And that is an automated process that is through programming that takes place in identifying folders in your directory that the system, the KReady system, will download reports and information to and pull information from. And so here in the data guidelines, there are 3 different types of templates: the teacher template, the student template, and the enrollment template. All of these are used to load data into the system in a CSV format. Our strong recommendation and insistence is that everyone uses the all fields template. But I wanted to show everyone what is included in the templates and the types of information here. You see district information, local district ID, school ID, teacher email, teacher first and last name, and the assessment tag. All of this information is required for loading teachers into the system. And again, this is just the data fields that would be needed for students. Here you see the types of fields that are needed when loading student information in. Again, our encouragement is that everyone use the all fields template when uploading information into the KReady system. For the students, you'll need to have all of this information: student ID, district ID, student first, middle, last, date of birth. All of this information that I'm showing you is required for the students, except for prior care and below. And lastly, the enrollment template. As you can see, everything is needed here. The data collection token is necessary in order for the data to be accurately received. District ID, local district student number, the state ID, the school ID number, student first and last, a student's date of birth, teacher ID, teacher first and last. When you're using the templates, please do not remove or change any of the headers. The headers are used by the system in order to recognize the file that's being loaded. Cells need to be formatted with leading zeros. The district ID, school ID, any of those cells that have leading zeros, you have to format that with a leading zero. We have videos and support files on our site that will show you that as well. The date of birth has to always be formatted with 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 4 digits for the year. And then each field should be separated with commas. So when you're entering the information in your template, before you upload, make sure it's saved as a CSV file.
We're going to go through each of these steps on how to add a user manually. So for this, I do want to kind of point out the note here that users will receive an email to a change of password once the account's created. So just don't worry, we'll get to that here in a second. but I also have a video link there that shows you how to do this as well. So we are going to go ahead and dive right into the KReady system. On that left-hand side, go to your users and select Add User. From here, you want to go ahead and enter in your teacher information. So their first name, their last name, their email address, and then their location. So if you have multiple locations for your district, you're going to see all those locations listed under here. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And when you enter the password, like we said, what you enter in is you don't have to share it with the user. The email will be automatically sent to them stating they have an account, and they will go through the process of resetting their email for that. Select your role and select Save and Open. So from here, you see the main details page. And what we spoke about earlier is that assessment tag. So you want to make sure any new users, you attach those assessment tags, and you can do that manually. So right underneath the role, select the toggle, click it on, so to turn blue, and then check mark that box KRA. Select Save. And you got one more step to do, because when we added them on the main screen there, we only added them to the location. So we want to make sure we add them to the district as well. Select Organizations, select that drop down and go to Districts. And you can see here, they're not actually attached to the district yet. So you want to select Add. And here you're going to put in that teacher ID, district ID, which is the teacher credential ID. So that's going to be 2 letters and 7 digits. And then select Confirm. Now this teacher is attached to your district. And if you select that drop down arrow again and go to Locations, you then see them attached to the one district you've already attached them to in the very beginning. But if you need to add them to multiple buildings, you can do that here. That's adding a user manually. Our next step, which is adding the students manually. Again, these steps are listed in the guides and the notes. We do have on that other side there under note, there is a video out there on how to do this and walks you through those steps. So I want to point out that, for one, ensure the student has been added to the location, and you can also by checking that point of authority, and we'll show you that. And you confirm that the correct location is attached to the student and appears for that assigned teacher. And then the last thing is that I want to make sure I point out is the data collection tokens. So in red down there in the bottom, so depending on what your district is doing, whether you're doing the short version, which is the 27 item, or the long version, which is the 50 item. So per district, you're going to be doing this as a whole, not one building doing a short form or the other one doing a long version. Everybody's in that district's using the same one. So make sure you know which one you are using. So we're going to go back to the KReady system. Right underneath your users, you have students. And you are going to select Add Student. And first things first is you're going to enter in that SSID number. So that is 2 letters and 7 digits. And their first name. The middle name is optional. You can add it if you'd like, but it is not required. Their date of birth. So this is going to be, so if it is a June, you'll put that in there, and the year. The gender, the race, disability code if applicable, the region, the district, and the location. And now underneath here, you're going to see 3 items. The English language learner. So if that student is, you would then toggle that on. If they are a special education IEP student, you would toggle that on. And low socioeconomic status, again, you would toggle that on. Once that's all filled in, you want to hit Save and Open. Now, I wanted to show you this because I have this toggled as IEP, but I got an error. So it will not let me move forward unless I put in a disability code. So if you don't know that as of right now, you can just leave that blank, hit Save and Open, This details page, you can always go back and enter in the information if needed. If you maybe don't have that IEP information yet, you can enter that in later, but you would update it here on the details page. Your next step is to add the teacher to the student. Next two steps, very important when you're adding a student. Let's go to enrollments. And from here, you can do the teacher association and assign the teacher. Now, you're only going to see the teachers that are listed for that specific location. So if you are looking for a teacher and they're not listed, well, they may not be attached to that building. So you want to go back and check that user. So once you find your teacher, select assign, and the teacher is now assigned. You have one more step, last step. In order for this teacher to see the student in their user or in their roster when they sign in, you have to attach that data collection token. If the teacher does not see a student in their roster and you see they're clearly assigned, that means the data token is not assigned. This is one that we get a lot. So from this screen here, under enrollments, under the actual name of the location, there's the word location and it's underlined and in blue. Click on that word and you can see it kind of opens up a little further. We're actually now up in organizations and we've kind of drilled down that way. But you now see we have a data collection assignment tab in between details and enrollments. And as you can see, nothing is assigned yet. So to assign it, click Assign Data Collections. Make sure you pick the correct one that your district is using. Hit Assign, and the token is then assigned for that student. Next way to add students, to add teachers, is using the bulk loader. A lot of times when you have so many students, it's easier to do it through the bulk loader instead of doing it manually. First, you're going to download the information from your student information system, download those files. You're going to update your teachers manually. So for instance, if a teacher changes their last name or has a different email address, you're going to manually change that before you upload a teacher file to reattach them to your district or location if need be. And you're going to format those files. Enrollments must be loaded with the appropriate data token for each collection, each data token. So whether you're doing that short form or the long version. So we're going to go back to live and show you on that left-hand side, you're going to select bulk loader. And here you're going to see all the uploads that you've done for this school year so far. For me, I've done 4 uploads so far since July 1 when the system opened. And you'll see that. Then you have your automated. And this would be if you're in for the secure file transfer protocol, which is that SFTP. We'll get into that shortly. And then the templates are listed here for any of the students, teachers, and enrollments. Those are the main files you'll be doing. For the all fields version of the student file upload, you're going to be filling in columns A through J. So your district IRN, district ID, your district student ID, this is if maybe your district has an additional number that they also attach to students. That's optional. You don't have to fill that in, but if you want, you can. The state student ID, so it'll be 2 letters and 7 digits. The school ID, which will be the location IRN. The student first name, the student middle name, which is optional. The student last name, date of birth, the race, and the gender. You're going to leave K through V blank. You don't fill any information in there. And you don't hide it, you don't delete it, just leave it blank. Your last 2 columns you're going to fill in is W, X, Y, and Z. W is going to be the IEP, and this is going to be a yes or no. So Y or an N for that field. Disability code, that ranges from 1 to 16. If the IEP is marked as yes, you have to have a disability code listed. Low socioeconomic status, that's a yes or a no, a Y or an N. And English language learner, a yes or a no, or a Y or an N. So to format these, so you'll have to format your column A, your district IRN. So a lot of districts start with a 0. So 0, I'm just going to throw this in here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I hit enter, that 0 falls away. But we want that 0 to stay. So how to get that to stay is you're going to format the column, right click, or highlight the column, right click, go down to format cells, select custom. Right underneath general, you have that first 0. So what I do is click on that, and I put my cursor right back up underneath type and have that blinking cursor. and I'm going to type in an additional 5 zeros. So I have a total of 6. Hit OK. And you see now that starts with the leading 0. So you're going to do the same thing for column D, and that's going to be that school IRN. So same thing, go down, format cells, custom, that first 0, and then type in that additional 5 and hit OK. The date of birth column needs to be specific way. So we're going to do the exact same thing, format cells, select custom, select that first 0. And what I do is just delete that 0, because then I type in MM/DD/YYYY and hit OK. So now you see a March 1st student has a 0301 and then their year. So that's, you want to have them all formatted that way. The last column you format is going to be the disability code. So since they have a 2 and a 9, you want to have it a 02. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Format cells, custom, and then we're going to just type in 10 and hit OK. Once that is done, save that locally somewhere you can easily find it. And from here, I just minimize it, because when you open or close a CSV file and open it back up, it does lose its formatting. So I like to make sure my file uploads correctly before I close it, so I don't have to keep going back and reformatting. So I select upload file, select my template. I did the student file. I find exactly where I saved it, attach it, and upload. Now, files can be in queued status and processing status for up to 24 hours. So just as that's going, I'm going to go real quick back over to our enrollments tab, or I'm sorry, enrollments file. Now, the enrollments file does 2 things, attaches them to the teacher as well as the data collection token. So this first column is the data collection token. If you do not know what that is, you can find that in the KReady system if you go back and select data collections. Here is the enrollment token for this year. So you'll see that listed. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the long version to our students listed here. So we're going to type in the data token. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this down because I want to copy it down. But as you can see, it's added, it's filled it in. So you don't want that. And a lot of times this is an error that's definitely, that happens a lot with these files. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you just copy it. So hover over that little box at the bottom and select copy cells so it all stays the same. You're going to format your columns for your district ID, your school ID, and your date of birth. Once those are all set, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on our student file. It's all the same. And we're going to save this somewhere we can easily find it. And we're going to minimize it. We're going to go back to the bulk loader, and hey, my student file came back complete. 10 additions. So wonderful. We're going to go ahead and upload the enrollment file. And as you can see, there is this box of unenrolled students by. So I want to kind of just let you know, you're not using that. When you're enrolling students, you're just doing the file. But if you wanted to do that, I mean, this is more of like halfway through the system, and maybe you're adding just five students. You would want to do, if you wanted to, you could check that unenrolled box by student, or choose by student, and that would be unattaching those students from any previous teachers that they may have been associated with. So let's say that you have multiple buildings and a student has gone to several different buildings. This just kind of makes sure that they're attached only to the one that you're going to do. But we're not doing that. So what we're going to do is just select that file. We're going to find where we saved our file, attach it, and upload. And again, that's going to sit in queued status. So we can go through the SFTP data automation. I know we've had a little bit of questions here. So this is the secure file transfer. These are more of an option for larger districts to automate the process of loading data into the system. You can follow me along in this next section. I can only go so far because number 6 and 7 is something you do on your own end. But I want to show you where you can find this in the KReady system. So if we go up to organizations and select view districts and then view locations, what you see is the integration tab now over here. So if you select that, you can see that my district is not doing that integration. So if you choose, I would definitely reach out to your technology coordinator and make sure if this is a viable option for you and your district. If you do choose, you would select the FTP. And these 2 ports are going to be grayed out, but that's like automated on the back end. So the next step would be for you to hit save, and then you would do the last couple steps. Again, I do highly recommend reaching out to your technology coordinator and see if this is an option for your district. Now I want to go back to the bulk loader here and refresh my screen. And I wanted to show you that there's an error. So when you download these validation errors, you want to see what happened with this file. Okay, that's an invalid data token. And you know why? Because I put in the wrong year here. When you get those errors, you can go back to that original file and correct that file, then re-upload, and you will not get that error again. So I wanted to kind of point that out, how to find your errors, what they look like. We're going to do that. We'll resave it, and we're going to make sure it's not filling down. We're going to copy those. And then you would re-upload that again, and you would not get that error. So there are various reports you can pull as a data manager. KRA percentage completion report, and that's going to show the percentage of students who have actually completed all of the KRA. And this is great for data managers to use to monitor the progress. Completion progress. The KRA completion by item report, this will show an Excel spreadsheet that has an X if a score was entered for that student for that item. So you can see if there's any blank cells, you would reach out to that teacher and find out why there's missing scores. The language and literacy report, and that will show all student language and literacy domain scale scores. So all those items for language and literacy. It's great to monitor that, to get that completed. All 3 of these are available both during and after. The next set is the KRA student and enrollment report. This one is great to kind of show you who's attached to whom. So that enrollment demographic data and that teacher assignment is really great for data managers to confirm those connections. The data downloads report is going to show all of the items, teacher, student, and enrollment data that has been entered into the KReady system for this year. And it's great to confirm and check your student information, who they're attached to, if you have point of authority for that student, whether they're active or inactive. And then a KRA domain data report. And this file will show student scores for each item and total up the points for each of those domains. And this one's great because it has those scores listed of what they are. So you can kind of also see if a teacher happened to put an NS where they shouldn't have. That's a great monitoring tool for that, confirming those scores. And that's available both during and after. So I want to show you how to generate that. So if we go on that left-hand side and go to reports, and we select our drop-down arrow, this is going to show you real fast all the reports you generated this year. So as you can see, I haven't generated any reports yet. So I need to create a report. I'm going to go down. I want to do the data downloads because I would like to show you how useful this is as a data manager. Select your data collection. Select your download type. I want to look at the enrollments file because that's going to show me which student is tied to which teacher and whether they're active and whether I have the point of authority for that student. Select your district, or if you have multiple locations and you maybe just want to look at a location, you can do that. I'm going to do the district as a whole. So my report has been created, as you see the little pop-up. It can take up to 6 hours for a report to generate. Normally it is not that long. You can refresh your screen and you see it's now ready to download. So we're going to open this up. And the great things that like I said, I wanted to show is it's showing my students, who they're attached to, and which data collection. So if you need to verify which one they have and if they're attached to the wrong data collection, you can also see if they're active. If this active field or column has an N in it, when a teacher or when a student is inactive, that means the teacher is not attached. So you'd want to go out and look at that teacher, student, make sure you attach the teacher to them. Point of authority, this is great for your transfers. You may load your students and not realize one of the students was a transfer because another district may have loaded that student prior to you. So that's a great one to monitor. If that is a point of authority is marked as a no, you're going to want to explore that student a little more, reach out to that previous district and make sure they accept the transfer request. The last set of reports are not able to be generated until after the assessment window has closed and the data manager cleanup window has closed. The scaled score report, that is going to be showing all student data, teacher data, overall items, and item level scores. This is what is used to be submitted to EMIS for the KRA. The KRA ISR report, this is going to show an Excel file with a PD link that will have the ISR individual student report for that student. And that's really more designated to share with the parents. And then the data displays, that is going to be an interactive chart and graph. And it's a great way to see your KRA data. Seeing that in different levels, different, graphs and charts makes it so much easier to kind of understand and see. So the question is there a need to upload teacher file each year if you don't have any turnover? No, but we do recommend going into each of those users and making sure those teachers, when you're going into your users, they're attached to the district, to the location, and all of that is correct for those teachers. So you don't necessarily have to. We do recommend just to kind of doing it each year, but if you have, like you said, a small turnover or no turnover, you can check that manually. Also, someone's asking how to get to the screen with the menu bar where everything's listed on that left-hand side. If you're logged in as a data manager, you may just want to click administration here at the top blue bar, and that automatically brings you back and you have everything listed on that left-hand side. If you do not see that, you may not have the role of data manager, and you can always reach out to the help desk and we can get you all set up with your next steps. Should teachers enter partial data? No, they should enter all data. You want them to fill in all of their scores for all of their students and not just a little bit. All of that needs to be done by November 1st at 11:59 p.m. So the district ID is going to be your district IRN. Your teacher ID, that's going to be that 2-letter 7-digit. It's the teacher credential ID, educator ID. If you don't know, your EMIS person would know what that is. Also, the teacher would know that as well when they log into I think it's the Ohio portal. They'll have their teacher ID number there. And then you have your school ID, which is that location building IRN. And then, of course, the email, teacher first name, last name, and then the assessment tag, where if you have new teachers and you want to make sure they're attached to that assessment tag through the bulk loader, you're going to just type in KRA in all caps and add that before you upload. How do you go about deleting old users? If you go into your users, and let's say this one here is inactive and they are no longer there. So you can open that user. They are marked as inactive, but you got to do a couple steps to remove them completely. You would go to organizations. You're going to make sure you remove them. They're no longer attached to any district, and remove them from any location. So this one particularly is still attached to a location. So you're going to select remove, confirm, and then If you go back to your users, you now no longer see them. So you can do that as a data manager with any user that is listed as a teacher or an administrator role. Data managers, however, you have to reach out to the help desk. Only data managers that need to be added or removed need to go through the help desk. And if you go to data manager support, there is the information on how to update, how to add users, how to update them, update students, update user accounts, remove a user from your organization. There is a quick 1-minute video on how to do that as well.